The world won't understand you. Hey, but it's okay. Said the world won't understand you. Cause I made you in my own way. Said the world won't understand you. Cause I made you different.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 83 of In a Good Way podcast. Today's special guest is June Edward. She's an author, psychic medium. She's worked on missing person cases. She's even consulted with well-known paranormal groups, and she's also had an NDE. So yeah, I mean, amongst many other things. So welcome, June. It's an honor to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
No, absolutely. Real quick. Were you born in June? Is that why?
I was. I'm one of 8 kids. My parents were running out of names, so.
Oh, wow. Okay, I was born in June as well. That's funny.
Oh, what day?
June 9th.
I'm the 4th, and my
Oh,
sister
wow.
was born a year after me on the 1st. I already got the name. They gave her the middle name May.
Oh, that's funny.
Glad it wasn't
Okay.
December.
Yeah. Okay, that's funny. I interviewed another medium that's also born in, I think he might have been June 4th or 5th. I think maybe he might have been the 4th as well. I don't know if you ever heard of him. Sean Leonard. He goes
No.
by the indigenous medium. He's in Canada. You never? Okay, yeah.
No.
So that's pretty interesting. So yeah, I always like to start with my guests in the beginning, just to get. I know you said, or from what I've read, that you kind of tapped in or accepted your psychic gifts more already, as as an adult or later on in life. But I always like to know. I mean, I'm pretty sure you already were experiencing things as a child, but
Yeah, my
like,
first memory was about the age of 3. I
oh,
remember waking up in the morning and someone was calling my name, and I got out of bed to assume it was my parents, and they were fast asleep. And when I went back into my room and started looking around, I was seeing faces all over my room, and it was very, very frightening.
oh
I put
wow,
covers up over my face, and the sun started to come up, and I started seeing the shadows of them literally right, nose to nose. So as a child, it was very frightening. And then you get to be school age and you start telling everybody what's going to happen before it happens, and they kind of label you the freak. So you stop saying things. And when I was about 10 years old, my parents split up, and my job was to do the dishes at night. And there was a woman that would keep me company, about 45 years old or so, and we would talk, and I appreciated it. So one day I asked my older brother who she was, and he started laughing. I thought everybody saw her, and he's like, "Oh, she's the woman that died in the house. Her husband killed her by throwing her down the basement stairs." And it scared me so much, which I'm sure she felt it because she never came back again.
no way.
So then I really tried blocking it because I was afraid, and they would still come through to me if they died. Anybody that was an acquaintance of anybody in the family would come through to me, and I'd be telling them, "Hey, listen, John Smith died last night." And they're like, "No way, I saw him last week." And I'm like, "I'm telling you." And sure enough, that person had died. So
And this
yeah, but
was,
I
w-
blocked it because I was scared, like most people.
and so when you were able to, like, even the woman, were you able to see her like with any injuries, or you just saw her?
No, she just looked like everybody else. Just she wasn't showing any injuries to me.
Wow. Do you ever see them with any kind of injuries, or?
So if I'm working on something or I'm bringing someone through and that's a specific question of how they were murdered or something like that, they will show me, but you're always in control, and I have an agreement with them on the other side. They can show me what happened, but no blood and gore. So they can show me everything, just don't show me the messy part.
Wow. And I feel like I'm jumping way ahead here, but how do you make that agreement?
So I know you're starting this work. So everyone has psychic ability, everyone has mediumship ability. It's really how you develop it. But if you are doing this work, you have what's known as a gatekeeper on the other side.
Mm.
And your gatekeeper is with you at all times. Mine is an American Indian buck, and I've only literally seen him 2 or 3 times. He's only spoken to me twice, and he does an amazing job. Every time I start talking about him, it's funny. He just laughs. But his job is to keep everyone in line for me, not let them through when I'm not working, not show me the things that I don't want to see. That's his job, and he does his job very
Wow.
well. So, for instance, if I'm in a room full of 300 people, I remember the first time I ever did a large room like that, and all of a sudden I panicked for a second and I'm like, what happens if nobody comes through? What happens if, I get the wrong person or whatever? And all I heard was, I do my job well, you do your job. And
Wow.
okay. And sure enough, every person I walked over to, he lines them up. So that's the person that is supposed to be getting the message from the person that I have. Now I don't even work like that because you never know who's coming through. It could be your next door neighbor's mother who wants a message for her daughter, and I've had that happen. So
Mm.
now I specifically asked for whoever it is you want to talk to, and that's the person I bring through specifically.
Okay, and again, yeah, sorry for jumping ahead, but so how did you learn to like focus in? Like, do you just have to ask it, or is it something you
It's
had to
trial and
train?
error. And, my education has come from the other side. So they've told me point blank, I see someone comes to me and wants a reading. And they want to bring someone through from the other side. Well, automatically there's a circle of thousands of souls from the other side that want to come through. It's not just everyone that you know and you want to talk to. It's everyone that's connected to everyone that you know that wants to get a message through, hoping I mess up and just say, oh, whoever wants to come on through. Yeah, good luck with that. No.
Ah,
Yeah. So you have to be very specific. And usually that's the first person that comes up for me. And I don't know these souls. I don't know these people. So as I'm describing them, the person that is asking for them can confirm that this is the person. And then 90% of the time, that's the person that comes up first. Right. One of the
okay.
first people that I brought through when I was training was a dear friend of mine that I grew up with. And he was like a brother to me.
Mm.
I haven't
Oh,
thought about him in a while. But I almost found him with my kids. And, my soul at the time said to me, don't open that door. And I
mm.
didn't. And of course, now I'm thinking about him. Now he's here. Okay. So, I brought him through and he was angry. He was hurt. He was very remorseful and he was depressed still and in tears. And I took that all on. That if they stand too close to me from the other side, I take on everything that they feel and I have to have them back up. Well, I didn't know that at the time, and I took on all of his feelings that he was feeling, and he came through to apologize, and he knew that he'd messed up and how much he'd hurt his parents and on and on. And I didn't know how to clear that either. Like empaths, they absorb everything. You've got to be able to clear that every day. And I didn't know that. I walked around for 3 days crying and depressed because I took on all of everything that he was feeling on the other side.
Wow.
Yeah. And about 2 years later, I went to see where he was buried because I missed his funeral. I was running a business and I couldn't close the place to go to his funeral.
Oh, wow.
And his grave was wide open. And I'm like, because I had gone in to get the number of where he was buried, went to find his grave, and his grave was wide open. Now I'm freaked out. I'm like, what's going on? So I go back inside and they start looking. They're like, oh, um, his parents actually just passed, both of
Mm.
them, and they were being buried in the same plot. And he showed up immediately to tell me that, yeah, he made up with his parents. They weren't angry at him. He was happier. He understood why everything happened, blah, blah, blah. So, yeah.
Wow, that's you know, right now you just reminded me like a couple weeks ago, I went to visit my godmother. I hadn't gone since like, I don't know, 20 years or something. And she passed away. And so I went over there. I felt like she told me to go out of the blue, right? Go visit her. And when I got there, only her grave, everyone else was clean. Hers was like almost completely covered. Just her first name was showing, buried under the dirt, and there was like an infestation of ants. There was thousands of ants. So, I even was trying to clean it and I got bit and I was like, oh man. So I told some people and they were like, oh, we'll clean it for the next time. So I guess even her immediate, like, her son, her grandchildren, nobody had gone. So I don't know if that was the whole reason she wanted
It
me to
was,
go.
I'm sure. They don't
Oh,
want to be forgotten. They want, they're not at the cemetery, but they want to make sure that if they've got a stone there, that the name is there and people know that they existed and they were
yeah,
here.
yeah. It was
They
kind of
don't ever
sad.
want
Yeah,
to be forgotten.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I was surprised. I was like, wow, did she bring me over here just for
Just to
that.
put in
Like,
your grave. Yeah.
yeah, maybe she
Yeah.
saw like, oh, now he's more receptive. Now I could tell him like, hey, don't you
Yeah,
remember me?
once they know that you can see them, it's a different vibration that you have, and you're sending that out, so it attracts.
Yeah,
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 because we're magnets. We're always attracting or repelling at any given time, and that higher vibration will start bringing them through because now they know.
yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Okay, so I know we jumped away, like because yeah, I was very excited to interview you because I wanted to ask you like so many questions. I know we don't have all the time in the world, so um, we'll go back a little. So as you were young, you saw that people looked at you crazy when you were telling them, "Oh, so and so just passed away," or this and that. You blocked it out, then, right?
I
Did you
did,
block?
yeah.
You blocked it out until you had your NDE, or before that?
No, so I never called it an NDE, and I never heard the term until a couple years ago. It's a term that was coined by scientists because they haven't been able to quantify it.
Mm.
So I always say I died because I knew I died.
That's why,
And
because one of my guests, I told him that a guest that had an NDE, I'm like, why do they call it near death if you actually die and come back? So why is it a near death if you actually do die? So it's funny. Okay, but go ahead. Sorry to interrupt.
so they clump a lot of things into an NDE. So for instance, if you're in a car accident, my younger brother was in a car accident,
Mm.
and he remembers an out of body experience. His soul was standing on the sidewalk watching the whole thing till the ambulance came. So they
Wow.
quantify that as an NDE, but it's not. So
Mm.
what happens when something traumatic like that is happening? Because with you, when you leave this body and go to the other side, you take with you your knowledge and your feelings. They
Mm.
don't want your soul feeling all that trauma. So your soul literally jumps out of your body because it knows it's coming, and it jumped,
Wow.
and you stand there, but it wasn't a death experience because it
Mm.
wasn't his time. And when the ambulance came, he went back into his body. My girlfriend was the same thing. She was hit by a deer through the driver's side window, and she remembers seeing the deer's soul go up to heaven that hit the car. And she thought, she's Catholic, and she thought she did something wrong because her soul was stuck on the headliner of the car
Mm.
until the ambulance came, and then she went back in. But it's the same situation. They're trying to save your soul from feeling all that trauma. It's not
Wow.
really a death experience. So again, I always called it a death experience. I knew I died. I've recently done some research on it, and less than 5% of the people that have an NDE or whatever get to the level that I got to, which was the fifth dimension of heaven, the lowest level. And less than that have a full life review, which I did. And even less than that are told that they have a choice to come back.
Wow. So what
Yeah.
happened in your case? I don't, did you?
So I was 20, I had injured my back at 22, shortly after I got married. And I was afraid to have the back surgery because I knew I was going to die.
Oh.
And I put it off for 5 years because I knew I was going to die. And that's when you have that knowing, that is your soul.
Mm.
Okay. Giving you a heads up, basically. And the night before the surgery, they did an MRI test with a contrast dye. And I let them know that I've had it once before. I think I'm allergic to it. I had a very severe reaction to it. And they just, shoved it off. Oh, everybody has that reaction. What do I know, right? I'm not the doctor. And as soon as they gave it to me, I coded, and that was it. I was gone. And I was able to see everything that was happening below to my body, to, the nurses on the outside talking about it, the rooms, the hallways, everything. But I was immediately just taken to heaven. I didn't go up a tunnel or anything. I was just boom, I was there.
Mm.
And I started to get a life review, which is like sitting in the front row of an IMAX theater and watching all the things that went by in my life that were good, happy, fun times.
Oh, wow.
And then I heard from behind me that, it's not really my time. I can stay if I want to, or I could go back. It's my choice. And I used to say that the two things you took with you is love and knowledge, because I experienced an overwhelming just sense of love. It was just incredible.
Mm.
But I've brought enough people through from the other side now to know that it's everything, all of your feelings you take with you, anger, hurt, remorse, all of your feelings. And then I remembered I had two children that was still here that were very young, and that was one of the biggest reasons that I had come back this time to begin with, was to be with them. And they brought me the most joy in my life. And
Wow.
as soon as I made that decision, I was back in my body immediately. And they weren't having any luck. I mean, they came in with the crash cart. They injected the line first with something that didn't work. Then they tried the paddles a couple times. That didn't work. Then I see them tipping the table up and slapping my face saying, "We can't lose you. We can't lose you." I don't feel a thing because I'm not there.
Mm.
I was flatlined. And when I came back, the doctor was like, "Oh, thank God this was the end of my month." They're residents, they aren't full doctors yet. He's like, if this had been the beginning of my month, I wouldn't have known that was not a normal reaction. I'm like, I felt like saying, "Yeah, you're lucky I wanted to come back."
Wow. That's amazing. And so let me ask you about that because like I said, now that I've been see, I used to think that we come into this human experience to feel all that, like the love, hate, sadness, joy, because that on the other side we couldn't feel it. But the same, like when I've already cried, like when I was connecting with someone, I've cried twice because that person on the other side loves the
Yeah,
person here.
ask them to back up. They're too
Yeah.
close to you. Ask them to back up because you're
Oh,
picking up
really?
all their feelings. Yeah,
Wow. Okay, so you could even control that. Like, hey,
yeah,
wow,
get them
wow.
back up.
Okay, that makes sense. But I mean, it's nice to be able to explain that to someone like not like I think it makes a difference to know that it's like there's always someone on the other side rooting for you or they're
So everyone on the other side is rooting for you. They only want the best for you here.
Mm,
That's everything. And even my book, All's Fair in Love and Karma. Karma is something we create in this lifetime if we do something to someone else and we don't have remorse and we don't make amends. And then you owe a debt that they'll have to come back and, you'll have to pay in another lifetime. But
mm,
it's not bad. Suppose you stole money from someone in a past lifetime. They're not gonna come back and steal money from you in this lifetime because they always are working for your highest and best. They'll
mm.
probably come back and be your boss, so they can teach you what money is and how it works,
Oh
and
wow.
that you have to earn it, not steal it. So, everyone on the other side is really always working for your highest and your best.
Wow. And so what have they shown you in regards to that? Like all the how the emotions on that side almost feel way like 100 times more than the emotions here. Like
No,
how
they're the same. They're the same.
yeah.
It's just that there's drama here. You're in
Ah,
3D here, living, a human existence. You're a soul and a body. And people have emotions here. You don't have emotions really on the other side. You have your feelings. Over here, you have your emotions, which is how you express your feelings. So
Mm.
people are living in the 3D drama here. That's the difference. It's
Oh
not that
wow.
there's more or less. It's just people, they're not understanding that this is not the reality. This is just a mini vacation. This is going to be gone in a blink of an eye, quite honestly. When
Yeah.
you look at how long your soul is existence forever. Your soul is pure energy. You can't destroy it. You can only change it. That's it. So, when your energy leaves this body, you're going to go on forever. And this is just a small vacation. Without a body, they can only live vicariously through us.
Mm.
So, they used to say, if you want them to visit, set an extra plate at the dinner table and they'll come visit, and they absolutely will.
Mm.
But, if they're doing stuff they want to do on the other side, if they never got an opportunity to go shopping and they like to go shopping or traveling, that's what they're doing. If they want to fish, they'll go find a fishing boat in the middle of the ocean, stand next to the guy with a rod and reel, and, come on, bring that fish in. That's all they can do.
That's amazing. Have you ever seen when I know you said like how we've our souls have lived forever and ever, but have they ever shown you at what point like we're conceived or the energy begins or anything like
So
that?
one of the questions I've always asked on the other side is, how do you make new souls? And I've
Mm.
never gotten the answer.
Ah,
How or why? I have not gotten an answer as to new souls. No, but
wow.
I ask all the time.
That's amazing. Yeah. And so
They have showed me down to the moment of conception. They have shown me, but they have not shown me new souls. They've shown me when the soul enters that embryo and ovum at the moment of conception, there's a spark of light. That's the God spark. That's your soul when it goes in.
wow.
But they have not shown me how new souls are made.
Mm. And at that moment, have they shown you like, do we already come in with the memories? Because that right after, once I started seeing like these past lives, like I would dream them first, right? And then I'll wake up and I'll Google it, like, and all the things I would dream, they existed. Some from
Hmm. So the way
hundreds
it
of.
works is this: your soul is way too big for this body. So
Mm,
some of your soul's in the body, some of it is over your body that people can see, and they call it an aura. And the majority of your soul is actually in the fifth dimension at the lowest level of heaven, and it orchestrates the timing of all the events in your life, and it has all the knowledge of all of the events in your life. So if you're not meditating to tap into the rest of your soul and access that knowledge during the day, the only way they can get information to you is at night when you're sleeping. We're in 3D. When you go to sleep at night, your vibration rises and you go into 4D. That's your dream state. And they're in 5D. So they will lower their vibration and meet you in that dream state to give you the information that you need. And you know it's a visit, it's not a dream, because it feels real.
Yeah.
You wake up right away and you remember it all. That is a visit from the other side.
Mm. Yeah, like like when they after my brother passed away, like they were the ones that showed me like it was all in agreement, right? We had agreed and it was mind blowing, right? Like everything had been agreed upon. And they were, in native culture we call them star people, right? So that's who I saw them as. They were like these huge star people. And I felt all this love. It was the amount of love was after I wanted to feel that so much. Like for 2 months I had that energy. I didn't want to be here anymore because I was like
Well,
I
that's
felt
what happens to a lot of people that have an NDE. Once you've been on the other side, um, it's just incredible. And they come back here and the vibration is so low on Earth.
mm,
A lot of them commit suicide because they can't get that feeling back. When you meditate, you can get that feeling back because you're connecting to the part of your soul that is in the fifth dimension with that high vibration. So when you think of quantum physics, the speed of light is almost 300 million miles a second. When you die and you go into that light, you're traveling, your soul is traveling at 300 million miles a second. It's very, very high vibration. And then when like when I came back into my body, I came back in that speed. So my vibration is automatically much higher than most people.
mm.
And that's what I attribute my ability to connect to the other side in seconds and go back and forth to the fifth dimension at will.
And that's so because one of the first, like when I meditated, that's what they showed me. They showed me like I guess it was representing me, and it was at the speed of light. It was like boom, at the amount of like that you're gonna be able to get information, and then this light just swirled and through. I was like, what in the world was
So you're
that?
going to find as you're bringing people through to the other side to get information, some of them are able to slow their vibration down enough to talk to you. But they
Mm,
talk so fast, sometimes I have to let them talk right through me. But other ones, they can't slow their vibration down enough to talk, so it's all sign language. They'll
wow.
show you symbols
Mm.
because they can't slow their vibration down enough to talk. They haven't figured it out yet because they're traveling so quickly. And it's the same thing. A lot of people can't see them because I don't know if you've ever seen an orb. An orb is pure energy,
Mm.
but it travels so fast. I mean, I've got a couple of them on film. I used to own a sports bar, and every time this band played, the drummer's son had died in front of him on a job. They were electricians,
Oh.
and he would stand next to him, and I would see him every time. But we've caught him on camera coming out of just zipping right through because they travel so fast.
Had you made a video about that?
I
Talking
have I
about
have a video. It's on my phone. I've never
no, but I feel like I heard that story before. Maybe I had you spoken about it in an
I
interview or
don't
something.
know. I don't know. Maybe I might have. I don't know.
Yeah, someone talking about that. They would see the band member, or wait, it was a band member that had passed
Yeah.
away,
No, it was his son. It was his son.
and he would stand there
He
when the
would
band
come
was
he
playing.
he was always around his dad because his dad was still really stuck in grief, and when you're stuck in
Wow,
grief, they're stuck in grief, and he would be around him all the time, so when he'd show up to play, his son would be there,
wow,
and, yeah, at one point, we filmed him his orb just flying through the room, you could see it on camera. I can
wow.
see him visually, for a long time, I couldn't see them because I was afraid. So it's your brain. So we're in a 3D existence here, right? And you have a body, and in your body, you've got a brain. Your brain is a massive computer, and it helps you sort through and follow through on everything you need to do. But your brain has a specific job. Your brain's job is to protect you. How does it do that? It does it by creating fear. So most people are making all their decisions based on fear. And when you do that, it's a crapshoot. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't, but you're always questioning it. So the reason that most people cannot see a soul when it's here is out of fear. So
Mm,
when my dad was 93 and dying, I went up to see him one day and he's like, excuse me, he says, I want to talk to you about what you do. I'm like, oh, really? That's interesting because you thought it was just a big joke, right? He goes, I want to ask you a couple of questions. I said, okay, what do you want to know? He goes, well, I wake up every morning for the last couple of months and my mom is standing next to my bed. He goes, I said, well, it's about time you see her. She's been standing there for almost a year. I said,
Wow.
she's going to help you go to the other side when it's your time. He goes, well, what I want to know is how come, I wake up and I only see her for a couple of seconds, she disappears. I said, she didn't disappear, Dad. She's still standing here. I said, your brain cannot process the fact that you just saw that and you're blocking it. She's still here.
Wow. That's amazing. No, I love this conversation already. Um, so let me go back a little. And that's your book, right? The All's Fair in Love and Karma?
Yep, this is my fourth book, All's
Oh,
Fair in Love
wow.
and Karma.
Fourth
Yep,
book.
this talks about the types of relationships that we have and why we are here. So there are three types of relationships. There is a karmic relationship, a soulmate, and a twin flame. And there's hundreds of karmic and soulmate relationships for everyone because there's lots of little options depending on what you do. And it's a karmic relationship because it never really feels right.
Mm,
You're always looking for the red flags or the shoe to drop. And it's a debt that has to be paid. Either you have to teach that person something or they're there to teach you something. And it doesn't have to be a romantic relationship. It could be a family member. It could be a friend. It could be, anything. But as soon as one or the other learn the lesson that you're supposed to learn, that relationship ends immediately. It's like you
wow.
wake up one morning and say, why is this person even in my life?
Wow.
Then you have the soulmate relationship. Soulmates feel really, really good, like an old shoe, like you've known this person a long, long time. And it's still there for you to teach them something or to learn something from them, but it's also there to afford you some love and affection at the same time.
Mm,
Okay. And soulmate relationships do not have to end once the lesson is learned. It really depends on what you wrote into your life plan.
mm.
Okay. Some people will have them last forever, and that's the one person they keep going back and forth teaching each other the lessons. So
Ah.
it really depends what you wrote. Okay. And then we have 5 major lessons that we all have to learn. And the first one is self-worth. And self-worth is not value. That's what other people place on you. Self-worth is the understanding that you are the only one of you in this entire universe. How
Mm.
special is that? Even if you're a twin, you have different wants, different needs, and different fingerprints.
Yeah.
And it's also knowing that it is not narcissistic and it is not selfish to put yourself first, as society would like you to believe. It's where everything else comes from. If you can't put yourself first, you're not going to be here to take care of anybody else, are you? It's that simple.
Yeah. Yeah.
And as much as society would like to blame everyone else for how everyone else feels, no one has the power over you to make you feel anything. I
Mm,
can't put you in a trance and say, love me, or hate me, hate me. Everything you feel is on you. Okay.
yeah.
And happiness is an inside job. No one else is going to make you happy either. So it's not, when I get this job, I'll be happy. When I meet the right person, I'll be happy. No, you have to make yourself happy before.
Mm,
And then those things will be drawn to you and your happiness will ping pong back and forth. So that's the first lesson. The second lesson is trust and communication. And you have to trust that number one, there is a higher power and there is only one. There's 1,764 recognized religions just in the United States. Okay,
wow.
there is only one, and you can call it whatever you want: God, Allah, Buddha, Jehovah, doesn't matter. There is only one. And you also have to trust that you made the plan. So if you don't like what's happening in your life, you've got no one to blame but yourself at this point because you made the plan for whatever reason. And hindsight's 2020, right? Everybody can look back and see how the breadcrumbs led from one thing to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing and brought you to where you are, which is always where you're supposed to be.
Mm,
Okay. And a lot of the things that happened in your life, as tragic as they were when you were going through them, when you look back at it now, you're like, thank God that happened because the next thing wouldn't have happened, right? Brought you to where you are. And you have to be able to communicate to the people in your life your wants and your needs. Because if you don't, no one knows what you want or you need, right? It's not osmosis. And sex is just another form of communication. You have to be able to trust and communicate outside the bedroom, or you're never going to be able to do it inside the bedroom.
mm.
Okay? Then you have unconditional love. Unconditional love is not playing the martyr and saying, oh, I have to stay in this abusive relationship because I'm supposed to be practicing unconditional love.
Mm.
This is where self-worth will kick back in because each lesson keeps reinforcing the previous lessons. Unconditional love is saying, listen, we had a really good run. It's not working. I really want the best for you. We need to go our separate ways. It's not next weekend bad mouthing the person. It's really wanting the best for them and the best for yourself. Suppose you had a child that you love unconditionally and they do something horrific like murdering a neighbor in a fit of rage, and they go to prison for the rest of their life. You don't like what the child did, but hopefully you're still going to unconditionally love your child.
Mm.
And for those that are very stubborn and still can't learn the lesson, the universe will take it one step farther. Maybe a drunk driver will end up killing your child. Now, your child knew that they were only going to be here for a certain period of time because that's the plan they wrote. And trust me, they're in a good place on the other side. But are you going to destroy the rest of your life here, hating the person that took him from you?
Mm.
That person has their own lessons. How do you know it wasn't karmic related? You don't. You have to focus on your plan for you.
I think though it's so hard for those on this side to wrap their head around that, right? That it could have been pre-planned or karmic or something.
Everything that happens for the most part is written into your plan. Then you have money and balance. And money is energy. People don't realize it. That's why it's called currency. And it's what we use in this 3D world to show whether or not your life is in balance. And then just so you know, for your readings, everything has to be an equal exchange of energy. So in order for anything to have value, it has to be an equal exchange of energy. You don't walk into a grocery store and put down $1 million to buy a gallon of milk, right? Has to be an equal exchange of energy. And then if you're working 80 hours a week and you're saving your money, the rest of your life is all out of balance, right? Because you have no time for your family, your friends, your own hobbies. And then if you're just saving your money, you don't have enough self-worth to spend the fruits of your labor on yourself. So self-worth kicks back in again. So everything in the universe has to stay in balance. This is why we have good and evil, night and day. And people have to understand that because money is energy, it has to flow. What you put out comes back. The more you put out, the more comes back. That's how it works. That's how energy works.
Wow.
And then the last lesson we all have is patience. And we live in a world right now of instant gratification. Everybody wants everything right now. They don't want to wait for anything. And it doesn't work that way. Everything in your life comes to you at the perfect time. Suppose you're putting out there that you're waiting for the perfect partner, man or woman, tall, blonde hair, blue eyes, blah, blah, blah. And then you never leave your house. Well, the universe hears you and they're happy to bring them, but they're not going to come by UPS or mail. You have to do your part for whatever it is. When you do the work, you get the reward. So if that's what you're looking for and you get yourself out there, the universe will bring someone to you, I promise. But again, it will come in the time that it's supposed to. It would be kind of foolish if every little 5-year-old girl that wanted to get married and had babies, they started delivering them at the door. It doesn't work that way. And if your biological clock is ticking and you're 35 and you haven't been married and had any kids yet, it's because you didn't write it into your plan that way. And it doesn't mean it's not going to happen. Maybe when you're 50, you're going to marry a widow or a widower and raise their children for them. You have to trust the plan. You've got to get up every day with excitement and see what's coming to you today and what did I plan? How exciting is this? If you knew what was going to happen every day, you wouldn't get out of bed. It's that simple.
Absolutely. No, I couldn't agree more. Let me ask you about for example, I heard you say something about twin flames, right?
So twin flames are extremely rare. There's way too much misinformation going around the internet. There are some people that claim that everybody has one and that, every time you reincarnate, you create a new one. Well, if that's the case, you have 1 million of them running around, wouldn't you? A twin flame is literally one soul that's split into two and reincarnates forever after in two separate bodies. And twin flames, there are only a certain number that are here at any given time. They not only, first of all, you will meet your twin flame if you have one at some predetermined point in your life. And when that happens, it literally, you might as well just throw everything up into the dumpster at that point because your life is done. It completely changes everything in your life, everything, and puts you on the path that you're supposed to be on, whatever that is. And Twin flames literally only last for a matter of a few days, a few weeks to a few months maximum. They are extremely passionate, extremely sexual, and extremely psychic. And when they split, it's like they're ghosted. There's no contact. That's it. And if you're both able to learn the 5 lessons that you have to learn and get on the path that you're supposed to be on, because they have a higher calling, they're supposed to be doing something to help humanity.
Mm.
If they can both get on that path, they'll have an opportunity to get back together in this lifetime. If not, then they'll have to wait till the other side. And that's the case with most of them. They don't reconnect again on this side because one or the other cannot learn the lessons they're supposed to learn and get on the path that they're supposed to be on.
Yeah, that's no, because there was someone that I had, because I don't like talking about it anymore, but I talked about it on the last interview I did. So, because we brought up twin flames, but that experience made me look up to. I didn't even know what twin flames were, and then I looked it up, and it took me down the rabbit hole. So I thought that, but then after, then I heard about false twin flames and all this. So at the end of it, it felt more like a karmic, right? But and then after, they kept coming into my dreams. No one had came into my dreams as much as this person. But then finally, I had this experience where they were showing me a contract. And I've been like, I've had the opportunity that sometimes I can't forgive someone in this 3D reality, but I'll forgive them on the other side. And I wake up and it's gone. Any resentment on the other side, I'll be like, you know what? We're good. You did what you did. You got to deal with whatever you did. We're good. And I wake up and I'm like, wow. I'm like,
So what you
thank you.
have to
Like,
learn to do is ground that and connect that and do it while you're meditating.
oh, yeah, yeah. But I mean, I guess, no, but I guess I'm happy that I've been, but I didn't know I could do it. So I'll definitely start doing that. Like, just meditate on it. But when I had this experience with this person and they showed me the contract, I was still holding on to so much that I ripped that contract and I was like, F you and your contract. But then, I went to a ceremony and it hit me. I was like, so I reached out to them. I actually tried to call them and I was gonna tell them like, but they didn't answer at that point, right? I just wanted to tell them, you know what? I get it now. It clicked. Like whatever it was, whatever contract we had here to do, whatever happened, that's fine. And yeah, I wasn't trying. Like I was like, I actually did send an email. I was like, you know what? Yeah, I shouldn't have held all that resentment. Like, so I did call once. They didn't answer, and then that was it. That was the end of that. But it's funny because now I don't feel it was a twin flame situation. I could be wrong. I mean, you probably know more about that.
Well, the other thing about a twin flame is it's very difficult after meeting your twin flame to connect with anybody else after that, because the feeling that you have at that point in time, it's literally connecting you to your soul. So anyone else after that, you feel like you're settling and you'd rather be alone than settle.
Oh, then no, it wasn't a twin flame. It was definitely a karmic then.
That's the big difference,
Yeah, yeah.
big difference.
That makes perfect sense. That makes perfect sense. So let me ask you. Oh, well, let's go back just a little bit. So after you had the NDE experience, did you already start?
No, so when I came back, I got interested more, but I still, excuse me, I still had a lot of fear.
Oh,
So I started going on haunted vacations. Yeah, I'd sleep in haunted bed and breakfasts. I went to
oh,
the Queen Mary and stayed on the Queen Mary, did the haunted tour, went to the Wally House, Alcatraz. I would constantly just go on haunted vacations because I was interested. And I
ah,
started to see, it started to open me up a little bit more. I was able to see the orbs again. I was able to hear the voices. At one point on the Queen Mary, I was lying in bed and they woke me up and I did not open my eyes. I could feel them there. And I told them, I said, listen, I'm not opening my eyes because if I do, I'm going to be scared and I'm not going to go back to sleep. I have to drive tomorrow morning all the way to San Francisco from Long Beach. That's a long drive. I said, I
wow.
need my rest. You need to go. And they did. I didn't know, I could feel the energy leave because I could
Oh,
always still feel the energy. I always still felt the energy because that's what they are. They're all pure energy. And my abilities really opened up about 10 years ago when I was going through a divorce again and I was having trouble in my businesses and making decisions out of desperation. And I went to see a Reiki master to relax. And she recommended that I meditate. And I'm like, as all my students tell me, there's no way I can shut my head off long enough to meditate. I was running 5 businesses. I was taking care of my mom that was dying. I was writing my first book. I was doing all kinds of stuff. And the first time that I tried to meditate, it was like they kicked the door in from the other side. She's ready.
Oh
And
wow.
my abilities opened up 1,000 times stronger than I was when I was a kid, and I didn't know how to shut it off, and it
Mm.
scared the bejesus out of me. You know, I get up in the morning, you get 30 people around your bed again. I was working as a medical esthetician, and the first person that came in the room, I'm like, did your aunt just die? And she's like, yeah, how'd you know? I'm like, I have no idea how I know. I'm like, did you just clean her house out? She goes, yeah, we did it last weekend. I'm like, oh. Did you happen to find one of those sock puppets from the 1950s? It looks like a monkey. She's like, yeah, we found one in the attic. I'm like, oh my God. And it just got through the day, it just got so much stronger with every person to the point that the third person, her deceased husband, came in the room. I'm like, oh my God, this is, I don't know how to stop this. I was going crazy. And
Yeah.
this is what happens with a lot of people that have abilities. They don't know how to manage it, to turn it on or turn it off. So they end up self-medicating because they think they're crazy. And everybody else is telling them they're crazy. Oh, you must be, I don't know, schizophrenic or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, no, it hit me hard. That's why I'm surprised that you said you ran a bar, because one of the first times it hit me, a friend, I guess they were going through something, so they're like, "Hey, can we go?" I didn't drink anymore at the time. Well, I mean, I still haven't drank like in years, but they wanted to go to a bar. They're like, "Oh, I'll treat you to something to eat or something." So I went with them. We're sitting in the bar, and all of a sudden, it was like if I could hear everyone's thoughts in the bar, and I just froze, and I started like texting, like I know a friend that's a medicine woman, like in Texas. And I was like, "Can you pray for me? I don't know what's happening." Then I
So they
messaged
hang
someone else.
around. So the ghosts that are low vibration, ghosts that are stuck here, they haven't gone into the light, they hang if you could see them, it's like a Walking Dead episode. They're everywhere. And when you go to a restaurant or a bar, there's thousands of them because they
Mm,
congregate and they want to go where they used to go when they were alive, right? And
wow.
they can't get around any faster than you and me, so they hop in your car and everything else. So I've got a rosary hanging from my rear view mirror. But this is what they do.
Wow.
And so liquor used to be called spirits, right? And they call it spirits because it lowers your vibration and you would get an attachment because that's what they do.
Mm,
They troll around, and if they're, they want your body. They don't have a body, right? So you end up with an attachment, and then you take it home, and then it works on you a little bit, and then it starts to make friends with you, and then it takes over your body and pushes your
wow.
soul to the side. It's what it does. Yeah.
That's amazing. Wow. Okay. I never heard it. Yeah, yeah.
What
Because
they do.
what
And
was
so
that?
make sure before you're meditating that you're protecting yourself first as well. It's so important that I have the proper directions in all of my books. I've had 2 students that actually got full possessions because they were not protecting themselves prior to meditating. And when you
Wow.
open yourself up to the universe, you're opening yourself up to good and evil both, and you will
Mm.
be a target for evil, and you will be attacked. I guarantee it.
No, no, I've been attacked. So, and I was trying to find people that, because I guess in nowadays everyone is more about, oh, love and light, love and light. So I'm like, do they not experience? Because I've experienced. See, when I was younger and I was involved with somebody, like it's fine. I met them partying too, whatever. But then as I started changing, then like I guess I didn't know. Like for example, someone I was dating had a drug habit, and then once like I was praying for them because, once I found out, I felt bad. And then I would dream of the worst, like, demons you've ever seen. Like, and in one of them, I had an angel with me, and they had 2 huge demons, right? Like 5 stories high. And it was like we were fighting for their soul. And my angel chopped up the 2 demons to pieces. And I was like, yeah, we saved her, right? But then after, the demons went back together. Brrrum, brrrum, and then they chopped up my angel to pieces. And I turned around and I started running. And when I woke up, I was staring right at her. And they let me know. We're like, well, she keeps inviting them back in. You're never gonna be. And this was like from the divine, right? Like, because it's free will. So as long as they allow them back in, you can't save
And
them.
there's
And I was
nothing
like,
you
oh,
there's nothing you can do. They have to want them out themselves. And that's why, a demonic spirit, soul, whatever that wants your body, that's what it does. It keeps talking to you. I had one student that she literally made friends with it, and there was no way. I'm like, nothing I can do. You have to be strong enough to go to a Catholic church because they're strong enough to get it out. There's nothing I can do to help you. Yeah.
And were you able to see it then, or?
Um, I didn't see it. She was in California. I wasn't actually trying to see it. I was trying to do some sort of an exorcism with her on the phone to get it out of her. There was no way. She made friends with it. She did not want it to go.
Wow.
There's nothing you can do at that point.
So since you mentioned the Catholic Church, right? Because I guess as you start connecting more spiritually, it's almost like the churches. I know that they're not all bad, right? Obviously, they have.
There's good and bad in everything, and they all serve a purpose. But understand, all organized religions are businesses. That's the
Mm,
reality. That's why they're organized. Doesn't matter what denomination, but they serve purposes. I mean, and if their purpose is for you to understand that there is a higher power, that we're all here to help each other, to connect and congregate with other people and help them, then they're doing a good service. Bottom line. So what's interesting is that, I think the Catholic Church around here is strong. So the spirits around here are probably ones that, related to the Catholic Church when they were alive. Maybe that's why there's more power. I don't know. I know it seems to have more power over the demons. Although, my sister was Hindu, so I'm familiar with a lot of the Hindu gods, Vishnu, Ganesh, Krishna. And they're real. They're just as real as the Catholic saints, and they're all real. So whatever your religion is, there's things in every religion that are accurate and things that are inaccurate.
mm.
Okay.
No, it's. Oh, go ahead, go ahead.
Um, but so for instance, saints. Most saints on the other side are ascended masters.
Mm,
So they're teachers on the other side. And then you have angels, I mean, before I died, I really, I knew there was a higher power, but I didn't put any stock in angels, saints, guides, any of those things. For me, it was like, yeah, okay. And I was brought up in a lot of different religions. So there was so many different things. It's like, really, what's the truth, right? But now that I do the work that I do, I bring them through on a regular basis. So I know the hierarchy and I know what their jobs are. And for instance, angels were never human. They're a completely separate race. Their entire existence is to help us.
mm.
But there's rules on the other side, just like there are here, and they can't help you unless you ask.
Oh.
You have to ask. So if you need protection, you have to ask Archangel Michael for protection.
And
And go ahead.
um, so it can angels incarnate as people? Can they
So
come?
there are earth angels, which is interesting because I've encountered one in my life and had no idea that it was an earth angel. However, after they gave me the information that I needed, they immediately disappeared. I mean, I turned my head and turned it back and they were gone.
Mm.
And something else that's interesting, if you ever encounter one that you think may be an earth angel, their feet never touch the ground.
Oh, that's
Their
so
feet,
funny.
their feet never touch the ground. Yeah.
Oh my
I
God.
have had angels come through. The first angel that ever came through was a choir angel. And it's immense. And a choir angel is just immense. And there are so many angels out there. I had no idea it was a choir angel or anything until I asked its name and got the message that it was giving I was doing Reiki at the time on a client. And I went and looked it up after, and I'm like, oh my God, it's a choir angel. No wonder. I mean, I'm on my knees on the floor in tears. Thank God the music was playing and this woman had her eyes closed, because when this angel came through, I was just overwhelmed, completely overwhelmed.
No, and the same. I never prayed to angels. I never nothing. And one day, I was going through pains. The pain was so bad. It was like I don't even want to wake up or live any. It was so bad. I had this pain. And one day they told me go to the mountain. I was like, how am I gonna go to the mountain? I could barely walk. And so I was like, fine. Climb the mountain. By the time I climbed, I didn't have pain anymore. I was like, what? So whatever, I prayed a little, then I started making my way down. And this angel appeared. I didn't realize it was an angel at the time. I thought it was just like, this, someone that was an ancestor of mine or something. They appeared, and he had a staff and everything, and my third eye starts vibrating, and I start crying. I couldn't, and as I'm hiking now, like making sure no other hikers, I couldn't stop crying for over 5 minutes at least. It was just so much
Yeah,
emotion and love. It
yeah,
was
they're overwhelming. Yeah, they're
exactly. And
overwhelming.
then so after that, I believed in angels. That it was Archangel Raphael, right? He's the one I was telling someone that deals.
Raphael and Mother Mary work together to heal. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, they work together. So if you ask them both to come together, the healing is much longer lasting and much more immediate. Yeah.
oh wow. So do you believe in like, is it good to like light candles for them and stuff like that, or just as long as you pray to them, it's all the same?
It's all the same. As
Oh,
long, you're lighting a candle, you're asking. So, when you pray, you're asking. When you meditate, you're getting your answers, basically.
mm.
As long as you're connecting with them, that's a good thing.
Okay. And real quick, because before I forget later, because I still have some other questions I want to ask you. But so you still teach your classes then on all the.
So so what I have, my first book is A Night on the Other Side, and that is everything that I used to teach in psychic development and mediumship.
Oh,
So
okay.
that's all in a book.
Okay.
And in fact, when I was writing my autobiography, I kept hearing, "You got to write the book. You got to write the book." I'm like, "I'm writing the book." They're like, "No, you got to write another book." I'm like, "What book?" They're like, "You need to write a book for your students, so they have a handbook basically to take." And I'm like, "Again, I have no time for this. If you want me to do this, I'm going to have to channel it." So I channeled the highest guide on the other side to help me write this book, and I wrote it and published it in 6 weeks.
Oh
So
wow.
that was my first book, but it's got everything that you need in there to help you learn how to meditate properly, who you're talking to on the other side, all of that. And you can find it on my website. It's everywhere, but it's faster to just go to my website and hit the link on there, A Night on the Other Side, and buy it that way.
Okay. So you don't teach the
Um,
classes anymore. You just
so
put it in the
no.
book.
So what I do is speaking engagements. I teach people how energy works, how to raise their vibration, how to get in touch with their soul. And I do have a 7-week online program, the relationship mastery program, that teaches all that, how to get in touch with your soul, raise your vibration, how the law of attraction works, and how to balance your energy, which is not an easy feat. And it changes your entire life because you start looking at your life from a higher perspective.
Mm,
And we're magnets, so you're always attracting or repelling at any given time, and it's like a radio station. You can't get the radio station unless you're on the right frequency, right?
yeah.
So everyone that's in your life, whether it's your business and it's your employees or your customers or it's your relationships, everyone is on that energetic vibration that you're on. So if
Mm,
you want more abundance in your life and you want to bring in more and better, then you raise your vibration. But that's the law of attraction. And if you don't balance it, because everything has to stay in balance, you'll crash.
mm,
So once you achieve that, your energy shifts, you have to balance it, and then you can maintain the law of attraction forever and literally have anything or anyone you want in your life. It's absolutely incredible. I
mm.
probably have 30 or 40 um, of my students giving testimonies on the website. There's videos, there's all kinds of things. It's amazing. The results are amazing.
No, but that doesn't deal with any, because I even heard you speak about that you do, and it's even on your website, like house clearing, right? So it'd be like dealing with these lower demons,
Right.
lower
Those are just
vibration.
services that I do that people can hire me to do. Yeah. Do a
But
reading, do a house clearing, things like that.
is how to do that in your book, or that's
Um, how to sage your house is in the book, but some things are much more in depth. It's like I went to a woman's property that she had 4 homes on, and she was Airbnb, and they all had spirits in it, and anybody stayed in the Airbnb, they were being thrown out and dragged out of bed and everything else by spirits. So, trying to do something like that is much more in depth. It's not something your average person's going to be able to do.
mm,
So, yeah.
yeah, yeah, okay. So because I heard you speak about how you were, because I had to go through the same thing. Everything for the most part I had to learn alone, right? Along the way, I did have people share knowledge with me, but I was always looking for a mentor. And I heard you say how at one point, like you finally found someone that helped you,
I
right?
did. I was lucky. When the student's ready, the teacher will appear.
Yeah.
So my first year and a half, I trained with 2 different mediums to teach me
Mm,
how to connect, how to turn it on and off like a light switch, who I'm talking to on the other side. And then my education took over from the other side. So the things that I know, 90% of the knowledge that I have is from the other side.
oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it seems like they guide me for the most part, but I guess you kind of raised my little antennas, like when you mentioned like how do you know 100% like that it's not something that's just manipulating you into
Because you
thinking.
have to learn how to read the energy.
Oh,
So if
okay,
something's
okay,
manipulating you, it's lower energy, it's lower
okay,
vibration.
that makes
And
sense.
like if it's a demonic entity, you'll feel it in the gut, you'll feel it in the pit of your stomach. It's the lowest vibration there is, and it'll almost make you sick to your stomach. That's demonic activity.
Okay, that
The
makes.
higher the vibration, you know what you're talking to. Angels have just an amazing high vibration. Ascended masters have an amazing high vibration. It's just incredible. So you have to learn how to recognize and read energy. And everybody has the ability. It's like anything else. You know, you walk into a funeral and you feel that low vibration and it pulls you
Mm,
down. You walk into a wedding or a birthday party, you feel that high vibration. So you have to get your body in touch with just paying attention and feeling those different vibrations.
wow. No, and that makes sense because last time I went to a funeral for a friend, a good
Mm.
friend, when I was leaving, I had like a full blown panic. Like it was worse than a panic attack. It was like desperation. So I must have, I don't know if I got like people's energy there.
It could have been.
Yeah, because, and luckily I had someone with me. I pulled over in the freeway and I was just like, you got to drive. And I just wanted to get home. It was just,
So what you have to be careful of is, a lot of people are empaths, and doing this work, clearly you're an empath, and you are absorbing all the energy around you. So you have to first of all learn how to put a bubble around you of protection with St. Michael so that you're not absorbing it. Okay. Some will still get through, but most of it will not.
mm,
And then when you go home at night, you've got to do it every day. You got to get sea salt and rub it on your body either before you take a shower or before you sit in a tub, and you'll immediately feel the difference because
no.
negative energy is positive ions. Okay. Positive energy is negative ions. So sea
Mm.
salt is negative ions. And when you rub that against the skin, it immediately neutralizes and it's gone
Oh,
immediately.
wow. Just on any part, or it's better just soaking it like
Just,
a,
no, no, don't soak in it. Rub it on your body because now
oh,
you're rubbing it against your body and the energy and it disappears immediately. Yeah.
wow.
I live near the ocean, same thing. The ocean is all positively charged negative ions. So I just go to the ocean every day and clear all that gunk off.
Wow. That's amazing. Um, so let me ask you because I want to make sure I got to this question. You said you've helped with like missing person cases. Like
Mhm.
how has that, have they sought you out when
They look for me. I don't look for them because there's millions of them everywhere. There used to be a police chief in the town where I used to live, who was very open to it. And some of the people that lived in that town, if anything happened, would come to me and I would give them the information. They would give it to the police chief and they would find the people.
wow.
And actually, when he retired, he became a medium.
No way.
Yeah,
The police, the
yeah.
wow. Did
Police
you
chief.
ever you is that in any of your books or you haven't? That's a good book to about them. That's I know they've even made movies about that kind of stuff, but
Yeah, I mean, I've only done a few. It's not like I did hundreds
oh
of them. I did a few, but
wow,
they're
that's
they're always teaching me from the other side.
absolutely. Let me see what other. I know I had another question. I know you. Yeah, I want to respect your time. Where was it? Oh well, let me ask you this. Are people able to block your psychic? Like, let's say just that people send. Oh, really? Because yeah, sometimes I felt where it was like that's weird. All of a
Because
sudden, I
you
feel
don't want to
blocked.
tell everybody you can read their mind, but you can read their mind because you can tap into anybody anywhere. But a lot of people, will feel that you're tapping into them and block you. They can
No,
do
no,
that.
but can they block you from your gifts in general? Not
No.
them, because I never have, unless somebody asks me something, right? Or I think if it's in my high is good like that, right? When I was able to see, because the first time I caught the person that I was involved with doing drugs, it's like I astral traveled, right? I took a nap. I saw,
That's what your soul does. That's where
yeah,
you're getting the information. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So I saw it, and then when I woke up, I called them, and they didn't return my call for like 2 days. And then they were like, "Oh, sorry, like I have something to tell you," kind of thing. And I was like, "I know, I saw you, and I saw everything, right? The person giving it to them, everything they said, I had seen." and I was like, I saw all that, so it was crazy. Um, but yeah, so I think it always just happened naturally when someone was lying to me, where it was something that would have affected me. Naturally, it's like I
The
had
more
access.
your abilities develop, the more things you're able to do. It's that simple. So you can astral project, sit down, meditate, astral project the most of your soul if you want to go to somebody's house and tell them everything there is in their house and everything that's going on in their house. But if
Mm,
you're trying to tap into people, same thing. You can read their minds. You can tell what's going on, but some people will feel it and block it.
wow. Yeah, no, that's funny. Okay, so yeah, I think we covered everything pretty quickly, right? Like you just kind of like boom, 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 boom. So let me ask you a thing about like relationship wise. I've noticed most people that I've interviewed that do spiritual work at some point or another they get divorced or things like that. Did it have anything to do in your case with your spiritual work, or it was just something?
So every relationship is not supposed to last forever.
Mm.
My first two relationships were both karmic relationships.
Oh
My
wow.
first, I was supposed to have my three children with my first husband, which I did. And my first son was about 6 weeks old, and it just hit me out of the blue that he's cheating on me, which I would have
Oh
never considered. And he'd been cheating on me for 3 years.
wow.
So there's a veil there. You're not supposed to know till you know.
Mm.
If I'd known, I wouldn't have had my third son. And
Wow.
then my second husband, I was just stubborn. That was a karmic relationship for 20 years, but it taught me all of my lessons.
Mm.
All of my lessons I learned basically with my second husband. But it
Wow.
was karmic. Once we learn the lessons, boom, it's over immediately.
Wow.
Yeah, it's like you wake up one morning, why are we here together?
Yeah, yeah. No, that makes sense. So a lot of the like, you even wrote a book about love and karma. So a lot of it came from like experiences
All of
on
it
this.
did. I'm also a twin flame. That's why I can speak so much to twin flames.
Oh,
And I
okay. So
read,
you.
and I read Akashic records, which are people's past lives.
Oh, okay.
So I wanted to know why would I choose to split my soul into two? So they even gave me all that information. So yeah, almost everything that I can speak to from my own experience or information that they've given me from the other side.
So when you've seen the Akashic records, because I went there a few times where it was just like this library that the books never ended. I was like, it looked like the hugest library you've ever seen in your life. Is that what?
So I got there by accident the first time, and I'm like, where am I? And they're like, oh, it's the Hall of Knowledge. I'm like, oh, I'm all about knowledge, so show me. And there's like a spiral. It's like a tunnel of spiral of books.
Oh.
And he handed me my book, and I went into a side room and opened it, and it was just like when I had my life review. It's like an IMAX theater to see the whole thing going. But there's rules with everything again, and you can't read someone else's book without their permission.
Mm.
And once, I had actually gotten there the first time when I was doing training for meditation. And, you're done, and they're like, oh, explain what happened. I explained what happened. Everybody's like, oh my God, you went to the Akashic record room. I'm like, what's that? They're like, well, if you get there, you're supposed to be a reader. Okay. So now I do more research to learn how to get back there quickly. And it's in the fifth dimension, which I can go back and forth very quickly. And then there's actually a Palladian that is the person that guards the Akashic record room and helps me get the books.
Really?
And
Wow.
and again, I had no idea what a Palladian was, and I explained, and they're like, "Oh my God, that's a Palladian!" And I'm like, "What the hell's a Palladian?" Now I got to research that, right? So he's actually the only alien that I know personally.
Wow. No, and see, they're the ones that appeared to me when my brother passed.
The Palladians,
Yeah, the Palladian. I looked them up. I was like,
yeah.
I was able to like, you just. It's funny how you just know, and you kind of look
I've
them up.
never looked at his face.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
very, very tall. I've never seen his face, never seen his hands because he keeps them under that cloak that he has that he
Ah,
wears over. I've never seen his hands or his face.
wow.
But I have had to call on him. I did a reading for a woman once who had been abducted many times and she wanted to know why.
Mm.
So I called on him to ask him, and he gave me all the information that we needed.
Well, let me ask you: have you been shown anything? I mean, I'm someone that doesn't really worry because that I have that understanding. Like, it's fine. However, it was written, right? Like that's like I was guided to write a book. I wrote a book, and it was showing proof how I basically pre-planned my whole life. Like I'm able to show proof, and it's there for anyone that wants to read it. Like I wrote it. That's what I felt I was guided to do. They
Mhm.
showed me all the physical proof, so you can't really deny it, right? At least for my life, you know. Um, But what was that? I lost my train of thought. Whoa, wait, no, I lost my train of thought. I don't know, but it was something about yeah, I completely forgot. But let me just say this then. There was this ancient man when I went to these Akashic records. It was like ancient man. Uh and I don't know who he was. Sometimes I thought it was like myself or something, like in a different reality, like or like a future me, right? Like an ancient. I don't know, but that's really not what I was gonna say. I completely forgot what I was gonna ask you something, and I just lost my whole train of thought. So I don't know. Oh man, that sucks. It almost feels like it was taken out.
The Akashic records are great for people that are having problems in this lifetime because we bring through from lifetime to lifetime different things.
Mm.
So for instance, for me, I was able to swim and go underwater and love it until I was 12. And
Oh.
at 12, all of a sudden I couldn't go underwater anymore. I panicked and couldn't get water over my head. And so when I was I went to the Akashic record room that time. So now I wanted to learn how to go back. So now I'm in classes to learn how to get back there. And I go back and I wanted to read my book. I wanted to know how I drowned because I knew I must have drowned in a past
Mm.
life. And I also, I'm a trained chef and I love mushrooms and I always wanted to go mushrooming, but I was afraid. My
Mm.
ex-husband used to go all the time and I'm like, I don't trust those things. So what I learned was in a past life, I was an herbalist and I lived at the edge of the forest. And when anyone was sick, they would come to me and I would make a potion to cure them.
Mm.
And I had picked poison mushrooms and I killed a 12-year-old girl. And my penance for that was they tied rocks to me and threw me off the cliff into the water and I drowned. And
Wow.
once I experienced that a second time, it was like I took one gulp of water and my soul left. It was okay. It was good. We broke for lunch. I went to the mall. I went shopping. I come back. Everybody's like, "Oh, what'd you do for lunch?" I said, "I went shopping." "Oh, what'd you get?" Didn't even click. I bought 3 bathing suits. One of them I took right off the mannequin. Didn't try any of them on. They all fit like a glove. And if you have any idea what it's like for a woman to buy a bathing suit, it's insane.
That's
But
crazy.
that's what I mean. I had no fear now that I knew what happened and why. So since then, I go snorkeling. I tried taking scuba diving lessons, all kinds of stuff.
That's interesting because, like, when I started getting my anxiety, it came out of nowhere. I hadn't had anxiety my whole life. And then, but it happened a lot in the car. Like, really, that's where it would hit me. So I'm guessing that's what I was thinking. I must have, and even in this life, I've crashed at 100 miles an hour when I was young. Um, one of the, if I ever had an NDE or something, when I was 16, I was in a big wreck that I knocked out, right? Like, I got this big old scar. Like, I mean, it faded away after, but and it was funny. I thought like, oh, maybe that's why my third eye opened and I started tapping in when I was young because, yeah, like I completely knocked out. And then when I came to, there was blood everywhere. I heard my friend tell me, oh, stop. I was kicking I couldn't move like from my waist up. I was kicking my legs and my friend was like, so I thought, that, but so I was like, maybe they're all hints because somehow, in a past life, I died in a car wreck. And that's why,
Possible. Anything's
yeah,
possible.
yeah, I
Yeah.
get this anxiety. Oh, but I remembered what I was going to tell you now. So last year I was having all these visions, but that like right, it feels so real. So to me, I was like, this is more than, is this an alternate reality or what? Because I was having all these alien things. Like one, they were all over like in my house everywhere. And they were all like waist height. And then there was one that was about my height. And then when I stepped towards them, boom, I woke up and I was like, whoa, that was real. I know that was real, but so they were everywhere. And I almost felt this nervousness, like, so that's what I felt like people were gonna start seeing them more. And then I had another one where there was like a whole full-on invasion, and the amount of details in these ships, like I've never even seen in a movie. It's like if I could draw, like it was so much detail. So I was like, why do I keep? And this was all happening last year. So have they shown you anything like for something coming that I don't know?
Everywhere, but the reality of it is they have cloaking devices, so you're not really seeing the real ones. A
Mm,
lot of the ones you're seeing are the ones that the government has copied and is putting up there to just scare people. Again,
ah.
yeah, because they're everywhere. I mean, they live amongst us, they work amongst us. They're everywhere. They
Mm,
really are.
that's fun. So if there's ever like some kind of thing like that, you think it's more holographic or it's really gonna be like some kind of invasion, or it's gonna be more like a fake invasion?
It's a fake one because they were already here and they've got no reason to do that. You know, they have wonderful cloaking devices, so you can't really see them. So it's interesting. There is some there's glass that you can make that I forget the name of it now, but you can look through it and it just, you know, so people see things differently. Okay, like I can see them full body apparitions. Animals, dogs, the shape of their eye is different so that they can see them, we can't. Okay, different things like that. So there is glass that can be made. There's a some type of a chemical that's put between the sheets of glass. I have it somewhere. It's illegal in the United States. You can't get it.
Wow.
And I was watching a guy from Russia at one point in time that had made the glass, and he was showing you, he put the glass up and down, and he pulled the glass down, you see nothing. You pull the glass up, you see the spaceship that's up there. You see it, full thing, and you take it down, and you can see it.
Wow.
So they're there, they're just cloaked. You just don't see them.
So maybe in this, I guess in my real body, I was able to see what's really, because it's funny, because it always happened like, and in these experiences, because even there was one where I was showing like my brother, I was telling him like, look, you don't see them. And I had a few where it was like that. I was telling everybody, you can't see them. They're right there. No, I don't see anything. I'm like,
Yeah.
they're right there. They're flying around and all this stuff. So that's pretty interesting. So they're always there then.
Yeah, yeah, and you know, the Palladians are here to help us.
Mhm.
You know, it's like anything else. You've got some that are good and some that are evil, just like everything else. And you
Mm.
get some that the evil ones are on the side of the government working with the evil, and the good ones are on the side of everybody else trying to help us.
Wow. Yeah. So yeah. No, is there anything else that I left out that you want to share before
Nope, people can go to my website. They can take a free webinar they can sign up for to see how energy works and see if they're interested in the relationship mastery program. JuneEdward.com. There are links to all my books. There are videos that you can watch. There's services that you can book me for and schedule me for. I do speaking engagements. I travel anywhere around the country, so that's not a problem either, depending on what it's for.
Yeah, and I'll definitely be getting your book. I'm very curious, and yeah, if it ever opens up again about like you teaching a class one-on-one or anything, send me an email or something so I could take it, because I'm very curious to learn more, right? So thank you so much, June. It's been an honor. I was very excited to speak with someone that I could pick their brain. So thank you
Thank you
so
for
much.
having me. Yeah.
No, absolutely. I'll put all your links and all your information in the description. And once again, thank you so much. Oh, if you ever want to come on again and do a live where people can ask live questions, I just started doing live. So, I want people to interact if you're ever open to that.
Sure. Schedule me, send me a link. I'm happy to. I'm happy to answer any questions I can. I
Okay.
don't do readings like that on the air because I'm either working or I'm not, but I'm happy to answer questions.
Okay. Perfect. Sounds great. Okay.
Okay.
Thank
All
you so
right.
much.
You're welcome.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Life may move fast, or it may move slow. I met a silly man who said he make it slow. We look up out towards space, or even at the sky. One that gets away, but never look inside. Breathe in, breathe out. Life is a man's move, figure this out. I mean, human beings, I ain't got no doubt.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, sometimes you just feeling it, you know what I'm saying? You just feeling it. And I wanna feel this way forever.